under Article 22 of the Constitution of Ghana, it says when a person dies, his spouse or surviving spouse, be it the wife or husband, is to be given a reasonable part of their estate, whether they left a will or not. Welcome to the Gavel Hall, viewers, and thank you for subscribing, for following, and sending in your comment from time to time. In our conversation today, we are looking at spousal rights in Ghana, particularly spousal property right. It's a very important subject which needs to be discussed, particularly when it comes to issues of marriage. Marriage is a blessing, a big blessing, and an institution ordained by God. But practically, there are so many complexities and complications that may arise as a result of what? Property, and arise to properties in marriage as spouses. When it comes to spousal property rights, as the name suggests, it revolves around properties of all kinds, both movables as well as immovables, and issues of what? Financial matters. When we discuss marriage, we must also be thinking about divorce, which sometimes becomes inevitable in such a union of one man and one woman to the exclusion of all others. So, as I said, spousal property rights has to do with what? Issues surrounding property, financial matters within marriage, and divorce. When this happens, particularly divorce, yes, spouses need to know how they'll be settled in terms of property, which were jointly acquired during the subsistence of their marriage. And this property and how they are to be divided equitably amongst the spouses upon divorce. Now, the law provides for spousal maintenance and property settlement after divorce. Now, before the coming into force of our law, the 1992 Constitution of Ghana, issues concerning inheritance of property by spouses upon the death of either spouses were revolved according to customary law of the parties or the nature of the marriage they contracted. This state of affairs created some uncertainty because there's no specific legislation when it comes to issues of what? Spousal property right. Therefore, there is certainly a need for legislation to be made to address the many issues divorcees and those in widowhood, especially women, face when it comes to the sharing or distribution of marital property upon divorce. Many sigh with relief when the 1992 Constitution came into effect, being our supreme law. And under Article 22 of the Constitution of Ghana, it says when a person dies, his spouse or surviving spouse, be it the wife or husband, is to be given a reasonable part of their estate, whether they left a will or not. Additionally, spouses have equal right to enjoy any property which was jointly acquired during the marriage, and also in the event of divorce, the couples would have to share and distribute the properties between them as determined largely by customary law or the Matrimonial Causes Act. The Constitution of Ghana mandates our parliament to pass a law regulating issues of what? Property rights of spouses as soon as practicable. However, it's been years now, and we're still waiting for this particular law on property right of spouses to be passed. It's over 20 years since we started expecting a law on this particular subject. Now, the bill has still not been passed. However, on spousal property rights, apart from our Constitution, Article 22, we also have the Matrimonial Causes Act. This law aims to ensure some form of fairness and justice when it comes to distribution of marital properties, recognizing contribution of either spouses to the marriage. As I said, spouses have equal access to and are entitled to equitable share of the property acquired during their marriage. Upon divorce, property jointly acquired must be divided fairly, taking into account the contribution from either of the spouses according to their legal resources. So the court normally would order one spouse to pay maintenance to the other during or after divorce proceedings. Matrimonial property cannot be sold, leased, or mortgaged without the consent of the other spouse during the marriage. This is also affirmed under the New Lands Act, where matrimonial property is to be disposed of by sale or by any other means. One of the spouses' consent must be sought at all times to make it a valid disposition. Such disposition too must be done on good faith. If not, it can be set aside. So spouses have inheritance rights to a reasonable portion of their deceased estate. In property division, both monetary as well as non-monetary contributions to the acquisition of properties are considered. The court sometimes consider the value of the domestic services also provided by a spouse. For instance, taking care of the home, taking care of children and household management issues, in determining how property acquired during marriage needs to be shared. So we have cases that have been churned out by the court. In some cases, the principle is equality is equity, mensa and mensa is often applied, meaning that there is a presumption of equal ownership of property jointly acquired during marriage. I believe you've enjoyed a little bit on marital property rights of spouses by watching. Please ensure to stay glued to this channel. In our next edition, we'll build on this conversation on spousal property rights. Remember to subscribe, follow, like, comment, and share the link. Thank you for watching the Gavel Hall. And do stay also on the social media handles of Channel 247 TV. That is the only TV that excites. See you on another conversation.